manuals are both subject to mine, and it's a case of here's where a small company can outperform even the biggest. Because if you get your manuals right, you can improve your customer's experience. You can make life quite easy for yourself. But too often these things get overlooked. If the product doesn't work properly, people blame the product. They don't blame the fact that they didn't read anything, they didn't bother to check first, they just dived in. And this is where a good manual can get people off to a friendly start, to a point where they get a good result. You can go and tell people how wonderful the thing is. But if they get a bad result, it's going to do just the opposite. Now, we live in a world these days, and this is applicable to websites especially, where nobody reads anything. We're an instant world where people just don't have any patience. They want an instant answer, and they aren't about to read piles of text. Combine this with the fact that we also live in a sort of multinational world, not multinational, national in terms of nationalities, whereby Western countries particularly are loaded up with all sorts of languages. The old days of, the French used to be over there, and English were over there, and Belgians were over there, and Chinese were in their patch, Spanish were over there. That's all gone. Now you've got a sort of schmozzle of everything, and when you address the marketplace, the American marketplace, is Spanish, big issue. In this country, for example, you've got a whole mixture of nationalities. So when you go out to Joey or Mrs. E Public, you find that they don't all speak English. Guess what? Let alone the fact they don't even like reading it. So when you come to try and get your messages across as to how a customer should install or operate their product to get a good result, firstly you cope with the issue of they don't want to read anything, and secondly you cope with the issue of, if there is text, in what language? So the best and smartest way of presenting is to do it with graphics and photographs. The old story is a picture is 1,000 words. If you get the right picture, the right angle, you can show someone, they can take one look at it and they've got it in their head straight away. But you can talk about it for half a page, and firstly they won't even read the half a page, and they do it wrongly, and then they ring up your support people and bother them about it. Now, you don't want to be wasting time fielding dramas that are really caused by the fact you didn't provide enough information, or provide in such a way that people could use it. So you help yourself by getting a good manual. You help yourself to more customers because the word spreads, the product's good. You overcome connuptions and issues with products whereby explanation is needed if it's done simply. Now, let's just give you a few examples here. One of the classics I talk to clients about is my old Braun shaver manual. Now, they've sort of changed things over the years, but way back when, we had the 109-page manual. And you think, gee, we've got this great manual on this thing. I'll learn all sorts about it, all sorts of stuff. But about how to get the best out of my inverted commas shaver. The reality is that 9 pages of 109 were in English. The rest was in all sorts of languages. And they'd approached it the way a lot of large companies do, is to take this massive amount of information, just boil it down into basically nothing, and then put it in a dozen or so languages. So, of which it's equally bloody dreadful in each one. And of which people take one quick look and think, no, I think I'll just sort of bobble along here and hope for the best. Well, it doesn't allow someone to get a good result out of the shaver. And if you did this in a smart way, Now people say, oh, it's a bit hard when you've got to explain things without language. Well, mate, I've been there, we've been there and done it for companies who operate in areas where there's, overall probably 15, 20 languages. And the way you do it is you sit down and you work through it quietly. You use photographs, you use graphics. You test the thing out with different people to see whether the same message is getting across. And you basically remove as much text as possible and make it easy for the message to get across. Now, people who've worked on this, really worked on it, and they've had to work on it for good reasons, IKEA, because they come from a little country that speaks some other funny language, and they've got their customer base is like everywhere else. So therefore, they had to think about this quite carefully. And if you ever bought an IKEA product, you look at the manual and you find that it's all drawings. Now, they haven't quite got it right. It's not perfect. But it's not too bad. It's pretty damn good, really. And they have basically found their way into that position because of where they started their business from and where they wanted to sell to. They wanted to sell to the world, and the world spoke a different language than they did, so they figured, well, how are we going to do this? And we're not going to make 20 different versions of every catalogue and every instruction sheet because it just costs a hell of a lot of money, and we've got to add that to the product. We don't want to do that. So therefore, IKEA made quite big efforts to run a standard sort of drawing format and get rid of the language. Now, you can do this. My suggestion is photographs are good to combine with it. But it is all doable. And again, those of us that really believe in good products know that when the customer gets a good experience, liquid gold, because they go and tell everybody else. Okay, so, there is the Cabot Stone crowd, who put on the top of their cans, if all else fails, read the instructions. Well, most of us, even those that are technically competent, guess what? We just dive ahead. And then when something goes wrong, then we go and read the instruction. By that time, we've messed things up. So, you don't want to be wasting your company's time, your people's time, answering dramas that are a result of you're basically not properly informing people of how to get the best and out of their product and how to sort out issues if they happen to arise. And as I say, very few large companies get this right. And it's not that hard, it's not impossible to get this thing up to speed. And also, once you do it, remember that you've got to update it, because when you change the product, when you improve it, again, so many people out there don't update the information that goes with it. These days, in the days of the internet, you can put a very extensive manual in PDF form on the web. Doesn't cost much in printing. You're not going to pay to have a big, thick, 5 to 45 page manual. You don't have to pay the printing costs for this. You just basically put the file on the web and people can download it, or you put it on a disc that comes with the product. So the days of printing manuals is really gone. But the same strategy needs to be applied to the instructions that go directly with the product and on the box. Don't use text when you can use a photograph or a graphic. So I think that pretty well sums up that issue, and it gives you a good edge if you've got the manual thing under control. I hope that's been useful comment to you.